And showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. We'll look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I am executive editor of the ChannelPro Network. I'm also one of your co-hosts on this program, and I am joined this week, as every week, by your other host, Eric Simpson, a business transformation and improvement consultant for MSPs and other IT providers. Eric, where are you this week?
This week, Rich, I'm in Wichita, Kansas, visiting a client for a consult. So it's funny, I got in yesterday and everything seemed fine. And this morning it had snowed overnight and I had to go out there and scrape snow off the windshield of the car. Man.
For a Southern Californian.
Not my normal.
Yeah. Do you drive okay in the snow?
Yeah, I drive okay on the snow as long as... I've had some very horrific, trips where I've had to follow behind the snowblower on the highway because there's just no visibility, and those driving events are not any fun. But today I saw three cars spun off as I was driving around today, completely off the highway, down like hills and stuff. So,
and I'll bet those are not Californians too. Those are probably natives, people who should know better.
I would hope so, but I just try to stay in my lane.
Well, let's dive into the story of the week. It's not actually a news story this week. It's the cover story from the most recent issue of our monthly magazine at ChannelPro, which went live on our website this week. And that is our 2020 State of the Channel survey summary. So once a year, we go out to our readers and we ask them a whole ton of questions about economic conditions, market conditions, what markets are you in, how profitable are those markets, what are your hiring plans, etc. Big deep dive, giant bucket of data. And then we wade in there and we look around for trends and nuggets that we think are noteworthy, and we write those up for a cover story. So this year, every year, basically, when I'm writing up that story, I look for what I think of as the headline bit of information or headline trend in there. And the way I approach that essentially is I imagine, if I was publishing a press release about this year's survey results, what would be the thing that I would really kind of call out as most notable or important? And that becomes the headline, basically, of the article and one of the key things that we zero in on. And this year, the thing that I decided to zero in on was some evidence from the survey indicating that managed services and cloud computing, those two big markets we've been talking about for years now, watching as MSPs and VARs kind of embrace those markets and move into those markets, they really have reached a stage of maturity now. And there's some data in there in our survey this year that really kind of gives you a sense. It's not that growth, is tailing off in either of those markets. There's an enormous amount of upside still ahead for both of those. But you're really beginning to see some signs that these are no longer early stage opportunities. These are mature opportunities for ChannelPro. So for example, last year when we asked people, are you offering at least some managed services? 65% of the readers said that they were. And by the way, that was the first time in the history of the State of the Channel survey that we cleared above 50%, if I remember right. This year we go all the way up from 65% to 82%. Now, again, this is some managed services, doesn't necessarily mean that's the primary business model, the only business model, but 82% of the people who we surveyed are doing some managed services. And for just purposes of comparison, 77% of the people in the survey said they're doing networking or selling PCs, right? So, I mean, this is even a more common piece of the business than something as basic as networking is. 47% of the people we surveyed said that managed services are a high margin market. And that's all the way up from 35% in our last study. The longer people do managed services, the better they get at it, the more money they make at it, the likelier they are to say that it's a high margin business. It's another little indicator of maturity there. On the cloud side, 69% of the folks we surveyed said that they're doing some combination of cloud consulting, deployment, and migration, up from 55%, so 55 up to 69% this year. And only 19% of the readers said that the margins on those services are low. So, at the beginning of the cloud computing revolution in the channel, if you will, what everybody did is get started selling something like Office 365, which is a low margin business. As the cloud space has matured among our readers, they've been branching out into services and solutions, and we're seeing that kind of evidence there that people are wrapping higher margin services around those basic cloud licenses. And to that point as well, 28% of the folks we polled this year are doing some online CRM like Salesforce or Dynamics 365. That's up from 17%, pretty good sized jump. 23% of folks are doing cloud-based ERP. That is more than double, up from 11%. ERP, CRM, higher margin opportunities. They require more experience and knowledge. It's not something that anyone can just jump into overnight. But the fact that more and more people are making the investments necessary to add those services, again, indicates more maturity in the cloud space. So lots and lots of data in the survey this year. I encourage folks to go to channelpronetwork.com and take a closer look. But in terms of what we decided to call out as the headline, it's this data that managed services and cloud computing have sort of crossed some sort of threshold, and they're not emerging opportunities at all anymore. They really are mature markets.
Finally, Rich, the kids are growing up. Finally, it's only taken 14 years for the MSPs. I've been trying to lead the charge and being a thought leader and consulting and teaching and training these MSPs since 2005, 2006. And so, we're there. 82%. That's fantastic on the MSP side. Now, the cloud side, yes, that one got off to a rocky start. I mean, there were a lot of, security concerns when we were moving in that direction. And there was a lot of, Microsoft's, being kind of the Office 365 champion back then. It was BPOS. They certainly didn't do themselves a lot of favors with the partner program and the way they rolled that out and announced it very in the beginning. I mean, it caused a lot of pain and friction for the partners to see Microsoft, who, they had invested their entire careers in and had such an amazing, fantastic partner program, to see them changing that over time to, try to address the competitive threat from Amazon and Google and all these other things. They just, the messaging of that and the deployment of that was a bit rocky. So then there was also that trying to get over the security concerns, right, by end user customers and trying to push folks to the cloud when there was all of this FUD running around. And it's really interesting to note that today, with even more security breaches and incidents and cybercrime going on, we're selling more cloud services, right? So I don't, that's a whole other discussion over a beer to try to figure out how does that, how was that fear more relevant, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when there really wasn't cybercrime, that we knew about, and compared to today, and how we're more successful at selling and managing those cloud services. But overall, a great article. I do encourage, our viewers to go out there and just read through. There's a whole lot of data and information there. And as Rich, as you said, you picked out kind of these two little nuggets that, are of tremendous interest, to me and to a lot of MSPs out there, but a lot of, I think, good guidance there. We want to ski to where the puck is going to be all the time, right? Not where it is in the hockey game. So this kind of gives readers that kind of advanced intel. And, the survey is surprising from, the dramatic increase from last year to this year in some of these metrics that you're tracking. But you asked the same question, so it wasn't like the questions are different. So you would expect, the folks that responded to be the same folks that responded last year. So really, really interesting, good stuff there. And again, the kids are growing up, so now it's off to, the next emerging technology and opportunities. And I know you've got stuff in the article about security and IoT and all these other emerging technology, AI. So really, go take a look, folks. It's really a great, great article, and it's also in this month's ChannelPro magazine, digital magazine as well.
That's exactly right. Actually, this month's issue is a paper issue as well. So if you're a paper subscriber, it should be in your mailbox by now. If it isn't, it'll be showing up soon. Lots of great stuff in that article and in that issue, in fact, to dive into. So I echo you in encouraging people to take a deeper look and see what they think. And, in addition to skating to where the puck is, they can kind of benchmark themselves a little bit against readers in aggregate and see what they're doing and how it compares to other folks. But let's take a look at your tip of the week here, Eric, which has to do with kind of thinking about who's going to do what you do when you're not doing it anymore.
Good way to put it. So tip of the week is, hey, no matter what position you are in an organization, we expect you to lead at some point. If you're a leader, remember your number one responsibility at all levels of the organization, from the CEO and the president on down, your number one responsibility is to replace yourself. So, if you're one of those folks that, just wants a job and wants to hang out and get paid every week, come in 8 to 5, clock in and out, that's really not what business owners and managers and leaders are looking for. They're looking for folks that want to grow with the organization. And, if you want to advance in your career, maybe you're at the end of your career and you just want to go out nice and easy. Okay, you know what, Rich, we need workers too, but at the end of the day, we need folks that can help us grow the organization, replace themselves. And if you're the CEO and the president, you better believe you need to be divesting yourself of, as many hats as possible, as quickly as possible. And I know sometimes that's tough because you don't have the resources that you need, but if the data points in the recent survey are any indication, we're doing a lot better, than we were 5 years ago, apparently. So look at that responsibility and say, hey, build it into your succession strategy. Make sure you're pushing people outside of their comfort zones and make room for someone else. Because, as you know, the biggest detriment to growing the business is, having so many people wearing so many hats. And as we grow and become more successful, sometimes I don't see that with the clients that I'm working with being a very intentional thing. Is I want to make sure I'm moving people into other positions and mentoring and coaching them as that next generation of leaders, so I can backfill them with someone else. Because at the end of the day, hey, if we've built the organization, have we built it because we want a job forever, or do we want to be a strategic business owner and we want to grow through acquisition later? Do we want to sell at the highest valuation? Do we want to, just be the visionary and earn that position by making strategic decisions, pushing people outside of their comfort zones, incenting them and compensating them to make it attractive for them to move into these other more responsible leadership positions in the organization? They don't typically move on their own. So we've got to put in place these structures and these incentives and these mentoring and coaching programs to bring those leaders along. The way you replace yourself is by coaching and mentoring those, that are coming behind you. And that's the leader's responsibility.
And, even if you're not necessarily thinking about who's going to replace you down the road, because not everybody, I think it would be safe to say most channel business owners do aspire to be able to rise up a little bit, think more strategically, focus more of their time on growth than on the real technical nitty-gritty day-to-day stuff. But if you're really into the technical nitty-gritty day-to-day stuff, then finding somebody else to do that more strategic work is necessary. And it's ultimately the same process. It's finding the people maybe within your current set of employees or leaders who can step up and take on that function. But either way, basically, as the business grows, as time advances, you're going to need another generation of leaders. And it's one of these many things in running a business where the time to get started on that is now, because once you figure out that the need has arisen, you don't want to be getting started on that process then.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Rich. I mean, I think the first question you want to ask is, what do you want for yourself? And then what do you want for others, right? Because and I've worked with business owners that say, hey, I just want to go do the techie stuff. I love it. Or I just want to go sell. And you're right. In those situations, they need to have strong leaders to replace operational and financial and other responsibilities, so they can go do what they love. And they've got to, be thinking ahead of time on how am I going to get there, and who do I need to, coach and bring up and train and give those opportunities to, so that I can do what I love doing. Yeah, because everybody wants something a little bit different, like you say. So figure out what you want, figure out what you want for others, and then build the ability for you to go after and get those things for everyone.
All right. Okay. Very interesting. And it leaves us with time for just one more story this week. And if you're a dog owner, you're probably hoping, maybe assuming that your little guy is fond and affectionate. But you also might have the sneaking suspicion now and again that deep down there's more resentment there than this poor dog is able to vocalize for you. I mean, it's been hours since I've been taken on a walk. When's the last time you gave me a cookie? There is actually a product now that can help you hear exactly what it is your dog is thinking every time it barks. It's called the Cuss Collar. Costs a mere $60, and pretty much every time your dog barks, the Cuss Collar is going to reveal what four-letter word your dog is actually saying to you right now. Now, I can't actually run through some of the phrases that are built into this product right now, but you can find out for a mere $60. Now, I would say this is not coming from a company that has a deep lineage in terms of pets and pet products. They are the same people who brought the world the Netflix Hangouts product, which basically allows you to watch Netflix at work by making it look like a video conference. They have a whole line of interesting products along those lines, and this is just their latest invention.
Yeah, the Cuss Collar. I mean, every time a dog is barking, I could just see that is just yelling expletives at whoever it is, especially at another dog, right? So that would be interesting. And I did check out the website, Rich, and it's a popular product. It's completely sold out right now.
Oh, wow. A lot of angry dogs in the world, apparently. Well, that is all the time we've got this week on the 5-Minute Roundup. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like this show, you'd like to maybe take a look at some episodes you haven't seen before, find out about new ones when they become available, best thing to do is go to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube and go ahead and subscribe to that. Make sure you click the little bell icon there if you want to get notifications when new episodes go live. To read the 2020 State of the Channel Report, to get all sorts of other information about news in the industry, business growth strategies, please go every day to channelpronetwork.com. We have got new content going up for you there every single day. To learn more about Eric and the work that he does with his clients, not only in Wichita, Kansas, but wherever you are, the place to go is ericsimpson.com, E-R-I-C-K Simpson.com. We will be back with you next week for another episode of 5-Minute Roundup. Until then, please enjoy the rest of your week. Eric and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.